We're starting from Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Ad Arba Sha'ot, 4 lines from the bottom. So the Mishnah was discussing what the latest time to say Shacharit. Right? The Mishnah said, Tfilat HaShachar Ad Chatzot, Rabbi Yehuda Omer Ad Arba Sha'ot. So the Tanakam, the Chachamim, say you could say until Chatzot of the day. We'll just call it 12 p.m. And Rabbi Yehuda says Ad Arba Sha'ot, until the 4th hour. Right now, the Gemara is going to try and figure out what does it mean, the 4th hour. I ba'aya lehu. The question was asked. Ba'aya, question. Ad vi'ad bichlal, o dilma ad velo ad bichlal. When Rabbi Yehuda says Ad Arba Sha'ot, does he mean Ad vi'ad bichlal, including the 4th hour, which would be until 10 a.m., from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., you could say Shacharit, o dilma, o ulai, ad velo ad bichlal, or maybe it's up to the beginning of the 4th hour, which would be from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. in a little drop. So, what does Rabbi Yehuda, what is his opinion? That's what we're going to try and figure out in this Gemara. Ta shma, come listen to this proof. Rabbi Yehuda Omer ad plaga mincha. Rabbi Yehuda says you could pray mincha up until plag hamincha. Now, I amart, if you say bishlama, it makes sense. Ad velo ad bichlal, up to, right? It makes sense if you say up to, because that means our assumption is plag hamincha is from 4:45 to 6 p.m., right? That time, the hour and 15 minutes, our understanding right now is that goes from 4:45 to 6 p.m., right? So our assumption is, if it's ad velo ad bichlal, if it's up to, that means it's 4:45 p.m. Ad vi'ad would be including all of plag mincha, including all the way up until 6 p.m. So again, Iyamart, if you say bishlama makes sense, if Rabbi Yehuda's opinion is ad velo ad bichlal, up to but not including, hainu de'ika ben Rabbi Yehuda l'Rabbanan. This is the difference between Rabbi Yehuda and the Rabbanan. Because Rabbi Yehuda will say up to 4:45, not including all of Plag Mincha until 6 p.m., but it's up to 4:45, and the Chachamim say 6 p.m. Ela iyamar, rather, if you say ad vi'ad bichlal, Rabbi Yehuda's opinion is including Rabbi Yehuda hainu Rabbanan. Then Rabbi Yehuda, he would have the same opinion as the Rabbanan, because Rabbi Yehuda's, our assumption right now is that Plag Mincha starts at 4:45 and ends at 6 p.m., right? Kind of like the same way the 4th hour starts at 9 a.m. and ends at 10 a.m. So too, we're assuming that Plag Mincha right now starts at 4:45 and ends at 6 p.m. So if Rabbi Yehuda says ad velo ad bichlal, then that means Rabbi Yehuda says you could pray mincha till 4:45. But if Rabbi Yehuda says ad va'ad bichlal, meaning including, then that would be until 6 p.m. If that's 6 p.m., that's the same thing as the rabbis. But the Mishnah says they disagree. So what is it? Rabbi Yehuda's opinion is ad velo ad bichlal. That's what we have from here. Ela mai. So rather, mai, what is the halacha? So what's the conclusion over here? What's Rabbi Yehuda's opinion? Ad velo ad bichlal. It is up to. Oh, good, fabulous. Ema Seifa, however, the Seifa says, the end of the Mishnah, V'shel musafin kol hayom Rabbi Yehuda omer ad sheva sha'ot. Chachamim say you could pray musaf the entire day, but Rabbi Yehuda says you could only say it until the 7th hour of the day. Let's see what that means. Vitanya, and we learned in a braita, hayu lefanav shtei tefilot. If a person had to pray 2 tefilot, achat shel musaf, achat shel mincha. One of those tefilot was musaf, and one was mincha. For some reason, this person missed musaf in shul, for whatever reason it was, and now he has to pray, and it's time for him to, he's feeling better, and he's now able to pray musaf. But he also has to pray mincha. It's late enough that the time for mincha has already started. So now, what does he pray first? Mitpalel shemincha v'achakach shemusaf. First he should pray the tefillah of mincha, and afterwards the tefillah of musaf. Why? Shezu tadira v'zu eina tadira. Because this one, mincha, is something you pray always, every single day. And musaf is once a week. It's not tadira. So when you're faced with a situation where you have something where you always do, and you have something that you don't always do, you do the thing that you always do first. So that's the opinion of the Tana Kama. Rabbi Yehuda omer mitpalel shel musaf achakach shel mincha. First you pray musaf, and afterwards you pray the tefillah of mincha. Why? Shezu overet v'zu eina overet. Because the tefillah of mincha is, the tefillah of musaf is going to pass you up, and the tefillah of mincha is not going to pass you up. So now let's think about this. Right? We know the earliest time to pray mincha is called mincha gedolah. Right? We learned that on the previous amud. That's at 12:30. Okay? That's the earliest possible time to pray mincha. Now, this guy here, he has to pray, in Rabbi Yehuda's situation, in the Braita, he has to pray mincha and musaf. Right? And Rabbi Yehuda says, make sure you pray musaf first. Because if you don't pray musaf first, you might miss the time for musaf. So now, amart, if you say bishlama, it makes sense if Rabbi Yehuda's opinion is ad vi'ad bichlal is including hainu de mishkachat lehu shtei tefilot bahade hadade. This is the mishkachat lehu, that it is found 2 tefilot bahade hadade together, meaning if mincha can be prayed, if musaf can be prayed ad sheva sha'ot, and you say ad means ad vi'ad bichlal, that would mean you could pray it until 1 p.m. Right? But if you say tfilat musaf is ad velo ad bichlal, then you're praying it until 12 p.m. But wait 1 second. The time for mincha only starts at 12:30. So if you say that Rabbi Yehuda's opinion is ad vi'ad bichlal, then it's possible the situation could even exist. The situation could exist of having to pray both mincha and musaf. If you say ad vi'ad bichlal. Ela iyamart, but if you say ad vilo ad bichlal, up to, heichi mishkachat lehu, how will you find shtei tefilot, 2 tefilot, here in this case mincha and musaf, bahade adade, together. Kevan da'atya veisha mincha, since mincha has arrived, az balasha musafin, the tefillah, the time for musaf has already passed. Because if we say ad vilo ad bichlal, that means you could pray musaf up till the 7th hour, which means until 12 o'clock. But the time for mincha doesn't even start till 12:30. So you can never have a situation where you're going to have mincha and musaf at the same time if you say ad velo ad bichlal. Rather, it must be ad vi'ad bichlal. So now we're in a tough situation. Because the first proof, we proved that Rabbi Yehuda said it's ad v'lo ad bichlal. Now, from here, we're going to say ad v'ad bichlal. So this is not good. Rabbi Yehuda doesn't contradict himself. So the Gemara is going to have to deal with this. Gemara says, Elamai, rather, what's the halacha? Ad v'ad bichlal. It's ad v'ad bichlal for Rabbi Yehuda. So kashya reisha, but it's a question on the first part where we said it's ad v'lo ad bichlal. So which is it? Is it ad v'lo ad or ad v'ad? My ika bein Rabbi Yehuda l'Rabbanan. If that's the case, what's the difference between Rabbi Yehuda and the Rabbanan? Mi savar, is your opinion dahai plag mincha, that this, when we say plag mincha, plag achrona ka'amar, it's the second plag bet, plag rishona ka'amar. No, when we're talking about plag mincha, you know what it means? It means the first plag mincha, from 3:30 to 4:45, not 4:45 to 6 p.m. V'hachi ka'amar, and this is what it is saying. Mechi emat nafik plag rishona. Emat, when nafik, go out, plag rishona. When does the first plag end? V'ayil plag achrona, and the second plag begin. Meaning, when does plag aleph end and plag bet begin? Mechi nafki, when it goes out, yud aleph shaot, 11 hours, chasir revi'ah, minus 15 minutes. Meaning to say, plag aleph is over and plag bet begins, 10 hours and 45 minutes, 11 hours minus 15, right? From 6 a.m. If you do the math, that's 4:45. So now it makes sense. When we say Rabbi Yehuda says ad ve'ad bichlal, including, that's because Rabbi Yehuda says, he's talking about the first plug. And if it's the first plug, that means his opinion is 4:45.
Amar Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman said, Af ana nami tanina. We also learned this concept that Rabbi Yehuda says that we say ad v'ad bichlal. We learn it from a different place. Af ana nami tanina. We also learned this. Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava, he testified chamisha dvarim, about 5 different things. Shemim anina taktana, that we teach a young girl to refuse. V'shema asi'in et ha'isha al pi ed echad, and that if a woman's husband, if one witness testified that the husband's dead, that we let the woman remarry according to one witness, al pi ed echad, on the mouth and the testimony of one witness. V'al tarnagol shniska b'Yerushalayim, on a tarnagol that killed the baby and it got skila, it was stoned in Yerushalayim. Al shahara get nefesh, because it killed someone, it killed a baby. V'ayayin ben 40 yom shenit nasech al gabe mizbeach, and wine must be 40 days old. Shenit nasech, to be used, to be poured al gabe mizbeach, on top of the mizbeach. V'tamid shel shachar shekariv be'arba shaot, and on the tamid shel shachar, that it was brought in the 4th hour, not up to the 4th hour, but in the 4th hour, meaning ad v'ad bichlal. Shma mina, learn from this. Ad v'ad bichlal. Shma mina, learn from this, that when Rabbi Yehuda says, when he talks about until when can you pray shacharit, it means you could pray until, including ad v'ad bichlal, the 4th hour. Rav Kahana says, halachas k'Rabbi Yehuda ho'il, because t'nam bevechirta kavate, because we learned in a Mishnah of the chosen Mishnah like him. And we explained already that the chosen Mishnah is Masechet Eduyot.